Hey guys, welcome back to another show. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about that one time I worked at a strip club in Miami. Yeah, that's right. Now, for some of you guys that don't know anything about my previous life, I used to be a chef, and well, I worked many jobs out there. Okay, I wasn't just your typical chef or the typical employee that would just have you know, what is it, like one or two jobs throughout their whole careers and that's it. No, I was basically a gun for hire. I was basically a mercenary. So with that being said, hey, I just went to wherever paid the highest. Okay, whatever was the best job opportunity for me. I had no loyalties. Okay, for anyone or anything except myself. Okay, and so I was just being honest with you, and not just that, but I was a bit of a. By the way, yeah, I did not get ready. Okay, I had to do a bunch of things before I went live today, so I apologize here. But at the end of the day, I wasn't like necessarily the best, employee or human or whatever, back in my 20s. So, it's not like sometimes, I just got fired or sometimes, I just had to leave a job for XYZ reason, whatever. So, that's just giving you guys a little bit of a background as to me and what I did for such a long time. So again, if for anyone that knows Anthony Bourdain, for example, maybe you guys have read his book, know a little bit about his past, before he became, the king. Shout out to him, R.I.P. Rest in peace, to the greatest. He, again, if you read his book, you know that he wasn't the most exemplary, employee or chef, out there. He did not become a legend until way later on, where he started to redeem himself. It's kind of like what I'm doing here. But listen, hey, I was a firecracker to say the least. All right, so. But when I got the job at a strip club, you know what I mean? To me, man, you know what I mean? Are you kidding me? Think about it. You know what I mean? Like, imagine being a young, in your mid 20s, late 20s, and all of a sudden you get an opportunity to work at a strip club. For a lot of guys out there, a lot of degenerate guys out there like me, all right, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there. Well, listen, that's like a dream job. It's almost, kind of like, being in the porn industry. And these are the things that we're going to be talking about today because it's like for a lot of people, there's a lot of misconceptions. It's like, oh, it might seem like a dream job until you're actually doing it, and then, well, it is what it is. By the way, I should write that down for a future episode. I also kind of did worked in the porn industry. Jeez, I know, man. What have I not done, right? What have I not done? All right, so.
Bruh.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. I am such a horrible human. This is why I'm such a good guy right now and these days. Hold on. Look, I got so many notes for future episodes here. So, but when I did my porn industry work, that was way later on. But we might discuss it later on today. Okay, we'll see. To see how all this goes. But anyways. By the time I got this job, I was already, kind of like a seasoned veteran to going to strip clubs, okay? Just like any other degenerate dude out there, any other horny guy in their early 20s especially. I mean, come on. I couldn't wait to turn 18 to go to a strip club, okay? And by the way, in Miami, things were very different. I realized that once I left Miami and once I left Florida and I started to see, what other strip clubs were across the nation, very different. So, yeah, we were very lucky out in Miami, with, how things are out there, how the laws are out there, how things are, how things were. I know things have changed, since I left, 11 years ago, give or take. The only other place out there in the USA which has, basically the best strip clubs out there in the world in the US was Portland, Oregon. Shout out to Portland, Oregon. Really, really good. By the way, anyone out there that if you're watching, hit the likes. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And let's just get right into it. Now, before we get into it, my really good friend, made a song for me. hold on one second. Let me get it on. My really good friend, Mike. Shout out to Mike out there. He's a music producer, and he made a theme song for the show. So let's just play that while I get my bearings straight. Okay, so we got a theme song for the show, and hope you guys like it. Let me know in the chat if you guys like it or not. Bruh.
Can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Darling, I've told you several times before, I have no dream job. I do not dream of labor.
Huh?
Oh my God.
Do it. Just do it.
100 times?
More.
200 times?
More.
500 times?
Probably. Do it! Just do it!
Yeah, I don't even understand, bro.
You like that? You like that?
Bruh. Alright, so shout out to Mike, my really good friend Mike, for making that theme song. Now, the next thing I gotta do when I get some time, hopefully in the next month or so, I gotta get some, some visuals to go along with that theme song, all right? But anyways, shout out to everybody. So yeah, so let's just get into, the time that I worked at a strip club, Oh, there he is. Shout out to Mike. Yeah, shout out to you, brother. That's right. Okay, so anywho's. So, so let's just get into it. Okay, so let's piggyback off of last episode. So remember last episode, we talked about that time that I sunk a boat with my friends. Well, around that time, remember, I was telling you guys I was doing a lot of Coca-Cola, a lot of, powdery stuff. Again, that's why I was blowing my nose there, still recovering from that, many years later. Anyways, but during that time, I was, using that drug, amongst, other drugs and doing a bunch of other things. So for anyone out there that's ever done, Coca-Cola, you already know, you have like a heightened sense of, I don't know, you feel like a god. You feel like you can do anything. You feel like you can, run through a brick wall. Your confidence level is up through the roof. It's next level. Okay? Now, before I even let me just give you a whole background on everything, okay? So around the time, before I got the job, I was still doing that stuff. I was still using that stuff. So, that's what kind of helped me get the job. So we'll get into that in a second, all right? But let's just kind of go backwards. So, for me, being a regular degenerate guy, from Miami, being around all kind of degeneracy, like I said, I grew up in restaurants and bars. I was a bartender, at a very young age. And so in Miami, the whole thing with like strip clubs and drugs and all that shit, it's a different animal. Again, Coca-Cola, cocaine, was basically more accepted than smoking weed. I mean, just to show you, kind of like like the world that we lived in down there. Okay. And, I remember strip clubs, They were just all over the place, like there's one place in particular, which was like an icon. I think they tore it down finally, but I remember there was I never went in there. Okay. But they had places, they had a place called the Pink Pussycat, which was like in an industrial area in the, like in a worst possible area possible. But it was just like this building that was just like in the middle of a very trafficked area. And anyone from Miami, anyone from the area, that knows what's up, knows the Pink Pussycat, okay? Whether you've been in there or not. And they have it a bunch of other places, So, again, I remember, being 18 years old, and we could not wait, me and my friends, we could not wait to go inside a strip club, okay? And back then, you could go in a strip club, at 18, and again, you could not purchase drinks. So what they would do is that they would charge you like a really heavy cover, like charge you like $20 or whatever it was, back then, in order for you to get in the strip club and whatever, just, do whatever. Anyways, and so I remember, from back in the day, I was already going in these places and, in Miami, it's like a different animal, where, a lot of times, you're just hanging out with the boys. And you're like, all right, we're not going to go to a bar or a dive bar or anything like that. And especially if you did, other drugs, you're not really like an alcoholic. If you're an alcoholic and you drank a lot, you would just go to a regular bar. We had dive bars. We had all kinds of shit. Places like Flanagan's, which is like a regular bar, whatever, okay? I wasn't really a guy that would partake in a lot of these things, But again, being a degenerate, being always in the restaurant industry and all this other stuff, I mean, come on, when we're hanging out with the boys, and especially late at night, we would just, get together and we would go to the strip club. And, a lot of times you just go to the strip club, obviously you have a few drinks before you get in there. Once you get in there, you buy a drink, okay? You're nursing that drink because not only are they expensive, but we're poor. And then you just get like a handful of dollars, that's it. I mean, again, we're poor, handful of dollars. And every once in a while, you kind of make your way towards the stage and, do the thing. Now, again, strip clubs in Miami, again, I don't know how they are today, but I remember back in the day, it was fully nude, fully debaucherous. And depending on which one you went to, it depended on how debaucherous it was. And there was different neighborhoods, like the Latin neighborhoods, the black neighborhoods, the ritzy, fancy neighborhoods. So, again, it all differed depending on the neighborhood. Now, again, me being poor from the hood, certain budget, we usually went to like, kind of like the crappy strip clubs. But, me and my boys, me and my friends, I'm talking about when, like we're in like super early 20s, okay? We were, I guess, strip club connoisseurs. So, we would literally try to find some of the worst, hole in the walls, okay? Because the thing is, it's like, again, Miami, man, we got the most beautiful women. We got the most, it's just a different world, So basically, a lot of strip clubs out there, in certain areas, they had like the best of the best of the best of the best, okay? But that came at a price. And for us, it was just like, whatever. It gets to a point when you've seen one or two naked women, you've seen them all. The point of going to these places was just to act like a fucking debaucherous in this, And on top of that, again, if you're from the hood, and you're just hood, I don't know what else to say, but that's like the place to be. So a lot of times, we're just going to go get some drinks, and instead of going to a bar, we're like, well, why not just go to the strip club? It's the same basic price, for drinks. And, we get to have like naked women in the background, while we're talking shit about whatever the F, we're talking about, just hanging out with the boys. So, we, frequented, whenever we were going to go out, we would frequent, just the guys, okay? We would frequent going to these places, okay? And why did we go to the shittiest ones? Well, because I had the cheapest drinks, to just be honest with you. But, again, the crappier the strip club, guess what? The crappier the women, okay? And so, there were some neighborhoods out there, like Little Havana, there were some really bad neighborhoods out there, like in the super hood. And, they had women there that were pregnant. They had women there that were like missing a leg. They had women there that had like 13 C-section scars, in their 40s or 50s. I mean, everything you could imagine. And the point, again, why we went to these places just because it was debauchery. That's it. We weren't, and there was no intention of trying to sleep with any of these women or trying to do anything except, whatever the hell you do in a strip club. We just kind of like just hang out there, have a few drinks, throw a few bucks. It is what it is. That's it. That was our version of going to the arcade, okay? That was, we grew up in the age where you would just go to the arcade and play games, But again, once you get to a certain age, you're not going to the arcade anymore. So, we would go to the, nasty strip clubs. And again, we liked to go to the nasty ones just because, again, we were nasty. Just whatever. Why not? So, I kind of grew up in that world, okay? I kind of grew up in all that stuff. And, but again, as I got older, in, my mid-20s, obviously, at that point I already had, girlfriend, steady girlfriend, trying to live a steady life, a normal life, quote unquote, whatever. As time went on, obviously I would go to these places less and less. In fact, it wasn't, I would only really start to frequent these, whenever I wasn't dating anybody. Okay, so obviously if I'm dating somebody, trying to, have a normal relationship, living with them, I'm not really going to the strip club with the boys. Very rarely would I do something like that. It was really more during my times when I was single, the perfect time to go, to just, go look at some titties while you're having a drink. whatever, after work, or before work, or whatever. It depends. Most of the time after work or on your day off, okay? But anywho's. So, I was a strip club connoisseur. I've been to as many as you can imagine in Miami. We had them all. Again, all income levels, all kinds of women, all kinds of fun and adventure and everything, okay? I mean, we had strip clubs. I mean, I forgot some of the names of these strip clubs, but, we had strip clubs in Miami that eventually turned into some of the best strip clubs in the country. You know what I mean? Like, damn, I can't really think of any at the moment, but like I'm sure they're still around. You know what I mean? There was I remember some of these strip clubs that just kind of started out like a little nothing, and then eventually, they turned out into like these places where, man, it's like walking into like a Dave and Buster's, okay? Like seriously, but it's just naked women everywhere. You know what I mean? Dancing on poles, they have like 15 bars, within that place, women, all over the place, walking around, doing their thing, multiple stages, multiple, you can take the girl to the back room, all that crap, $20 lap dance crap. By the way, I was not a fan of any of that stuff. I mean, sure, every once in a while, a boy would fucking pay for a fucking lap dance for me, or they would do it themselves, if they liked the girl. But the reality is that we would just, again, me and the boys, we wanted to have some drinks, and we didn't want to go to the dive bar, so we would just go to the strip club, and that's it. You know what I mean? So we're just really there like a bar. You know what I mean? Again, instead of having the football game in the background, we had some naked chicks. Whatever. You know what I mean? So anyways, I know, it's not for everybody, but this is just what we did back then. So, and, as I grew up, you know what I mean, and I got older, okay, like I said, I would go to these places less and less. Eventually, down the line, I'm going to skip over the time that I worked at a strip club for a second, okay, so I can just give you some more information, okay, and then we'll go to that, okay, but anyways, so yeah, at some point, you know what I mean, by the time I ended up leaving Miami, okay, again, 11 years ago, and I moved to Seattle, when I was in Seattle, everything was great, whatever, I had a girlfriend, whatever, it was all good, okay, but then eventually, I got single, and eventually I met another friend, a debaucherous friend out there, and he's like, hey man, let's go to the strip club. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, let's go, fuck it, whatever. Again, it's like going to the bar, whatever. So we went to the strip club in Seattle, and then all of a sudden I was like, hey, why are these women wearing their clothes? Hey, can I get a drink? No, they don't sell drinks here. And I was like, what? What is this? This is terrible. This is the worst. So, yeah, long story short, you know what I mean? When I went to Washington, Washington State, and I was like experiencing strip clubs there for the first time, I was like, man, this is the worst. The worst. You cannot drink in the strip club. The women were, semi-closed, plus they were all, entitled. They were just terrible. It was just so terrible compared to what I was used to in Miami. And I was like, bro, what is this, bro? What did you bring me to? Why are we even here? This is the worst. So, I told my friend, like, hey, man, this is how strip clubs were in Miami, da-da-da-da. And he's like, oh, so, like, Portland? I'm like, what do you mean, Portland, Oregon? And he goes, yeah, Portland, Oregon. You got to go there. That's like the strip club capital of the world. I'm like, really? No way. So, anyways, we went to Portland, and holy guacamole, man. So Miami is one level of debauchery and awesome when it comes to strip clubs, and then Portland, Oregon was another, level, another, just animal when it came to, strip clubs up there. And then when I went there, it was another thing too. So in the strip clubs there, they literally had food. Some of these places were restaurants. Okay, this is Portland, Oregon. Some of these places were freaking restaurants that were just failed restaurants, like a failed vegan restaurant, a failed hamburger place, whatever, okay? And they basically, trying to save the business, they turned into a strip club. And so it would be a restaurant, strip club. So just like in Miami, we would go out for a few drinks and, we just happen to see naked girls. Okay, so in Portland, Oregon, it's very common for you to, go get dinner at a strip club. I mean, there was this one place I remember, like the Acropolis had like the best steaks. I remember some other place called Devil's something, and they were like a vegan restaurant. And I could go on and on and on. And that was the place where I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is kind of crazy. First of all, again, the strip clubs and the strippers are amazing, just like in Miami. Again, many levels of, good, bad, whatever. but it was food. It was all based around food. All of these strip clubs, had food. And before that, okay, and by the way, I worked in a strip club in Miami and I was a chef in that strip club, okay? But even back then, I remember thinking to myself, the whole time I was chefing it up, I'm like, bro, who the fuck, eats at a strip club? Because again, every time that I would go to a strip club, I was just having some drinks, putting some dollars in the, what, and, imagine having your greasy hands with like chicken wings or whatever crap, disgustingness that they would have at a strip club in Miami and food wise, are you kidding me? And, anyways, it was bad enough already. So the point I'm making is that, over there in Portland, it was completely different. That was the first time I really got to see, it's like, oh, wait a minute, there's, people actually go to these places to eat and they have really, really, really good food. And so that was, kind of like shocked me there. And then once I left Portland, I went to California and I went to like so many other states. I was like, oh my God, strip clubs are just terrible everywhere. So the only places that I could really vouch for, that had like the best strip clubs experience, were, again, Portland, Oregon, and Miami, Florida. So, okay, now let's just go back to Miami and let's go back to how I started, how I worked, at a strip club. By the way, guys, give me one quick second. I'm going to play the music again because I got to really take a mean piss. All right. Sorry, I've been a little under the weather today and I was drinking a lot of water and now that shit just ran through me like a fucking racehorse. So give me 1 second. I'm going to play the music. I won't be any longer than 1 minute. Okay. I promise. Hold on. Sorry. I know it works. Bruh.
Can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Darling, I've told you several times before, I have no dream job. I do not dream of labor.
Huh?
Oh my God!
Do it. Just do it.
100 times?
More.
200 times?
More.
500 times?
Probably.
Do it. Just do it.
You guys don't even understand, bro.
You like that? You like that?
Boy. Sorry about that. Again, shout out to Mike. Hopefully you guys like the song. I really enjoy the song, whether you like it or not. I enjoy it a lot. It's very awesome. But anyways, all right, so we're back. So, sorry about that. Yeah, you just can't think when you really got to take a piss. So, all right, so let's just get into how I started working at a strip club, in Miami. So, okay, so before I even got that job, never in a million years did I ever think to myself, oh yeah, I'm going to go work at a strip club. I can't wait to work at a strip club, blah, blah, blah. No, I was going through, kind of like a down period in my life, all right? And I really, really needed, to get a job. Okay, I couldn't, I needed a job, okay? I'll be honest, okay? And so, obviously, I'm on Craigslist. I'm on all the traditional, kind of job sites, I guess, for the kind of jobs that I would look for, so, those know like, what is it like jobs.com? I don't know. I forgot. I don't even know what people you do these days, to find jobs. But anywho's, so I know I got this on Craigslist. I'm 1,000% sure that I got this on Craigslist because that was like where I got 95% of my jobs, okay? If not all of my jobs, either by word of mouth or through there. So I remember, again, I was like kind of like a low period in my life and all this other stuff. And I remember that, I was applying for all these jobs, okay? And, all these jobs sucked. I didn't want to work at any of these jobs. I didn't want to, I didn't even want any of them to call me back. I just hoped that one of them would call me back so I can get a job. But in between all that, there was a job at a strip club. Again, I don't even remember the name of the strip club, and I'm glad that I don't because, I don't want to be talking too much about, where I worked and who I worked for. But let's just say it was a guy that had multiple strip clubs and, he had kind of, his power down there, whatever. I didn't know who the fuck it was. I didn't even know anything about that strip club because the strip club wasn't even in Miami per se. It was just like outside of Miami in Broward County, all right? But whatever, It's all Miami, okay? South Florida, whatever. The point is that It was a nice strip club, okay? Don't get me wrong, okay? But anyway, so like I answered the ad, okay? Because the ad was basically, hey, we're looking for a cook, okay, to be working at the strip club. You know, basically, you know, someone to work in the mornings or whatever. And the pay was amazing. I mean, the pay was fucking phenomenal. So I'm thinking, okay, you know, how hard could this be? You know what I mean? Think about it. You know what I mean? Especially back then where I didn't have any, you know, there was no real strip clubs that had food. You know, the only strip clubs that every once in a while I would find that they had food, it was just bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, again, so maybe some chicken wings, you know, some nachos, whatever, you know, crap, you know, maybe frozen pizza, whatever, if that. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what I mean? This can't, you know what I mean? This is probably the super easy job. You know, the hardest part of the job is driving all the way up there and driving back. You know, every single day. It was a daytime shift, which is great as well. Because back then I was dating a girlfriend, you know, and so, you know, by the way, so, okay, so anyway, let me not get ahead of myself. So I was dating somebody, and, you know, like I said, I didn't really go out, you know, to strip clubs or anything like that before, I mean, when I was dating somebody or, you know, serious with somebody. So let alone work at one. Okay. But hey, a job is a job. That's the way I looked at it. And the pay was right. Phenomenal. Because again, if you know anything about the cooking industry, it's very hard to find a really good paying job. Okay. So not only was, you know, the place, you know, awesome, because it was a strip club, right? Not only was it a day shift, which was even awesomer, the pay was amazing. Everything was amazing. So I'm like, all right, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I just applied to the job. I didn't even think anything of it. I literally just applied to the job, okay? And I think it was like a Friday or something, you know, or I don't know. It was somewhere in the weekend, okay? So I applied for the job. So as I applied for the job, you know, me and, you know, I was doing my applications, whatever. And then later on that night, me and my homies, you know, we're hanging out. So, you know, we got some Coca-Cola, you know, get some drinks, you know, we're going to do that. We're going to have some fun. And so as we're, you know, I'm doing my Coca-Cola and I'm fucking, you know, jacked up on Coke, you know, basically, I get a call from a mystery number. And I'm thinking, yeah, I wonder who this could be, you know, whatever. You know, so, by the way, this is way back in the day. So you know, again, this is 2008, okay? So, no, not even 2008, 2007. This is 2007, all right? And I'm going to tell you exactly why, you know, how, you know, I know the exact date. But this is 2007, okay? 2007, 2008. So I get a call. And when, you know, when I get the call, you know what I mean? As soon as I get the call, it was somebody from the strip club. And they're like, hey, is this Jose? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, this is Jose. It's like, oh, hey, well, we saw that you put in an application earlier today. We really need, you know, someone to come and fill this position. Are you able to come in tonight, like right now, you know, and do an interview? And I'm thinking to myself, bro, who the fuck does an interview like at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night? But then immediately, I'm like, well, yeah, of course, a strip club does a fucking interview at 9 o'clock, you know, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. It was late, okay? Like I said, I was already, you know, jacked up, okay? So I was like, fuck it, you know what I mean? Like, you know, whatever. You know, again, if you do Coca-Cola, you know, the cocaines, you know that, again, your confidence is beyond through the roof. So normally, this guy would call me or whatever, and I'd be like, whatever, I don't know, man. But anyway, so when this guy called me, you know what I mean? And I was already jacked up, and the time it was and the whole thing, I was like, fuck yeah. You know, so I told my friends, hey, man, I gotta go. I got an interview. But I explained to them the situation. They're like, really? That's fucking awesome. That's great. Whatever. Okay, boom. So I fucking, you know, I drive like an hour north, okay, to get to the job. So as soon as I get there, you know, I'm like, holy shit. You know what I mean? I'm sitting in the parking lot. I'm like, holy shit. You know what I mean? I'm about to, you know, go in here and do an interview. I'm like, I can't, wow. You know what I mean? I couldn't even believe it. But at the same time, it's like now at that point, my nerves got to me. I was starting to, you know. So I was like, all right, let's do some more Coca-Cola. You know, I need some more energy. I need some more, confidence, you know, to go in there and do what I got to do. So I did so much Coca-Cola that I was like, you know, flying through the roof. My confidence was next level. I walk in there. Okay, as soon as I walk in there, you know, I let them know who I am and what I'm there for. And they're like, oh, yeah, you know, the boss is waiting for you. I'm like, the boss? I'm like, all right. He's like, over there, you know, sitting at the bar. I'm like, all right. So I make my way to the bar, and I'm like, as soon as I kind of see the guy, I'm like, oh, the boss. the boss, okay? And he had like a few women there, you know, he's drinking, doing his thing. And as soon as I show up, he's like, oh, how's it going, Jose? And, you know, shaking my hand. It's like, oh, your resume is amazing. You know, bop, 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 beep, beep, beep. You know, I've been waiting, you know, I'm glad that you made it out here. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out here and, you know, whatever, interview me, you know, interview at this time or whatever. And I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever, da, 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 da. So, you know, he shoos everybody away, and it's just me and him talking. And again, you know, my confidence was beyond through the roof. Well, normally, under those circumstances, I would be shitting my pants, you know, kind of nervous. You know, I mean, come on, think about it. You know, you're with the boss. I'm trying to, you know, step around, you know, what I mean by boss, but you can figure it out, okay? So, yeah, long story short, I was like, holy crap, you know what I mean? Thinking to myself, okay, we're here, we're doing the interview. But, you know, honestly, I wasn't really thinking that. I was more thinking of like, okay, we got to get it on. You know, we got to do the interview. You know, we got to like, you know, what is it? Ace the interview. We got to make sure you get this job. You drove all the way up here already. This place looks amazing. By the way, it was an amazing strip club, okay? The guy looked amazing. He was already excited and happy to meet me. I was like, bro, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, this is being given to you here in a silver platter. Don't fuck it up. But again, you know, I was super high confidence. So anyways, long story short, I don't know what the fuck I told the guy. I don't know what I said, but I know. All I do know is that I was on point. That was probably the best interview I ever did in my whole fucking life, okay? Anyways, by the time I was done with it, man, look, how about this? Even when we were negotiating pay, I negotiated up. You know what I mean? Which I wouldn't, I mean, never would I do that there. No motherfucker was like, yeah, no problem. We got you. Again, I don't know what I got paid, but at that point, that was the highest paying job I ever got. And so, yeah, I was able to fucking negotiate, you know, even an increase in pay, you know, whatever. And so I finessed the guy into, you know, believing that I was the greatest chefs and fucking, than Julia Child, you know, whatever. Anyways, and, that, you know, he was not gonna, you know, be disappointed by me and what I was gonna do and this and that, and I'm gonna whatever. Like I said, I don't know what the fuck I said to the guy. Like I said, I was able to negotiate a higher salary. The guy loved me. He thought it was great. He loved that I had a pedigree. I spoke English and Spanish. The fact that I was not intimidated by, you know, being in a strip club, because, well, I wasn't. I was more intimidated by him. I wasn't intimidated by anything at all. You know, I was just like, yeah, I'm here to work. Let's knock it out. Let's do whatever the fuck we gotta do. You know, fuck these bitches. I'm here to fucking make some food. Let's do it. You know, like that, straight up. And the guy fell in love with me. It was all great. And boom, I got the job. And boom, I started working immediately. And like I said, I couldn't believe how well I aced the interview, because again, I got that job. By the time I left the place, you know, after the interview, I got the job. And so the job was basically working during the day shift. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I mean, come on, this has to be the easiest thing ever. By the way, it was, okay? It was very easy. There was some difficult parts that came with it, but I'll explain that later. But so the point was that, like, okay, what he was looking for, an actual chef, is because it was a super duper high end, you know, strip club. And so the guy, you know, was just trying to keep it, you know, trying to bump it up even more and trying to make it even more high end and more awesome. So, you know, they already had like a kitchen and food. By the way, had an amazing kitchen, amazing everything. The guy loved to eat, the whole thing. So the guy was basically like, hey, man, you know, I want to step this shit up another notch. All right. And you're the guy to fucking make it happen. I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be easy. You know what I mean? And so my job was basically to almost treat it like a restaurant, you know, where I was like, okay, you know, you're going to, you know, have a menu, like a specialty menu. We're going to have specials. We're going to do this. You know, we're going to make, soups from scratch. We're going to do all this shit. And I'm like, again, with the pedigree that I already had, I'm like, bro, come on. You know what I mean? This is fucking cake. This is easy as fuck. You know, I couldn't believe it. But anyways, after I got that job, you know, after I nailed the interview, I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. But I can't tell my girlfriend at the time. Are you kidding me? There's no way in hell. Because if she was very, goody two-shoes. So, you know, she even got a sniff or a whiff, you know, of me working there. Forget about it. It was over. And so, you know, back then I was a really dumb idiot. I was in love with her, da-da-da-da-da. So I was like, all right, man, you know, there's no way that you're not going to take this job. You know what I mean? Not only is it high paying, but it's very easy compared to the shit you used to do before. And, it's far away enough that she's never going to find out as long as you, you know, play your cards right. And by the way, she never found out. So, but it was great. So, okay. So what did my job consist of? Well, my job consisted of, I had to come in the morning shift. And by the way, it's fucking a strip club. So how early did they fucking open? So, I mean, I what is it? I think I got there like at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, which is late. Again, I used to run restaurants for real. So, meaning, if you're working the early shift, you're showing up like at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, because you got the fucking deliveries to take in. You got, you got to work, okay? You got shit to do. You got to prep, all the food for the day. You got to prep food for the week. You got to work the lunch shift, meaning, cook lunch, for all the, all the customers that come in and all this shit. So to me, being able to fucking just stroll in there, just show up at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning and basically just be ready for by the time that the strip club opened, which was, whenever the fuck that was late at night. I mean, it was fucking easy. It was so cake. I couldn't even believe, how easy this job was. And sure enough, it was easy, okay? So how it worked is that, I had to come in and I had to, okay, so one of the things that, first of all, like I had to have like a soup of the day, easy. That was easy. Then I had to have specials, I had to kind of create a menu, and every day of the week we had something different. Again, easy, and again, the guy didn't want me to go in there and like be Wolfgang Puck, creating all kinds of crazy master dishes. No, again, keep it, along the lines of Chili's, Applebee's type of thing. Okay, just make it nice, make it good, make it taste good. Okay, make people want to come out here to eat. Again, easy, whatever. So the one thing that, I also had to do was that they did open during the day, believe it or not, you know what I mean? So they were open during the day, and it was fucking hilarious because, again, think about what kind of a degenerate you gotta be. And by the way, you can watch movies like Beverly Hills Cop and you'll see there, okay? But anyways, imagine the degenerate you have to be that you're gonna, we're gonna go have lunch, okay, at the strip club. Yeah, that's right. So, I would open during lunch. But again, it was easy, you know what I mean? Because it was like, how many customers did I really have? 10? Not 100, not 150. No, 10 tops, 15 maybe, if that. And so I was in charge of, making sure that we were ready to go, have the food, everything ready so that when the night cooks, because again, we had the night cooks that they would work, the shift, just like the girls, the strip club. By the way, so Miami, there was no such thing as like last call, so there was no like, we're closed at 2 in the morning. No, we don't close. Period. Okay, so yeah, you know what I mean? When the night cook showed up, it was like 7, 8 o'clock at night or some shit like that, and they worked till whenever, you know what I mean? Like 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever the fuck it was, right? And their job is just to basically, kind of put together everything that I had set up. So all the food, all the everything, I did all of that, which again was easy for me. I did all of that shit and then basically told the night cooks, okay, this is how you put that together. This is how you serve this. This is how you do that. Whatever. And by the way, they fucking loved me. All the people in the kitchen, for them, except for one person, but we'll get to that later. Everyone loved me because, well, think about it, you know what I mean? Like I really came from fucking heavy duty kitchens, and all of a sudden I'm coming in there and I'm making their life even easier. They already had an easy job, but now it's even easier, because it was like, bro, I got it all. All you got to do is just kind of like when this shows up, put this and that together. When that shows up, whatever. Easy peasy cheesy, okay? But during the day, I did have, like I said, so, okay, what my job was like, for example, let's say one of the employees, they wanted something to eat. I would make them something to eat. The owner wanted something to eat. I made them something to eat. The girls, you know what I mean? Like, when they wanted something to eat, I made them something to eat. So I was feeding the staff for the most part. But then around 12 o'clock, we started to get some people trickling in. And they would, there was people that would go there like almost daily, like older gentlemen. Fucking next level debauchery, all right? And they would just show up, go to the bar, maybe have a beer, maybe have a Coca-Cola, whatever. But then they would go and eat something there. And then, the day shift girls. Okay? And by the way, usually, day shift girls are the worst, meaning, on a scale of 1 to 10, how beautiful they look, okay? They were like on a 2 scale. Okay, not that they were the worst. They were actually some of the nicest and friendliest. Okay, because they had to be, in order to make some money. This is like a mom with like 4 kids and 3 C-sections, and she's 45. You know what I mean? That's the day shift. Okay, normally. But since this place was pretty awesome, no, we had some fucking prime meat, okay? Or prime, whatever, during those hours, okay? So, but again, it was just a handful of girls, for the handful of debauchery people that showed up. And one of the things that I had to set up as well was a meat carving station. So I don't know if you ever seen that. I can't really show it because, I get, bumped off of YouTube. But you ever seen like that... that video, that training video, or that video of that one cook, from like the 80s, and he's there like at the meat station carving the meat, and he's like, the instructional videos, like how to talk to the customers and be nice and be friendly. Okay, yeah, I used to have to do that. So I used to get the meat ready, okay, for the carving station, and then I would have to spend a few hours, during the afternoon, okay, at the carving station. And so during that time, it was actually pretty cool. Because that's when like the early shift night girls, okay, so like the first shift, it was multiple shifts, okay, I had so many girls there. But anyways, the first shift, of the night crew, we came in the early afternoon. They were the ones, that were there. So I was, think about it, I was doing all my normal regular kitchen work, and then like around 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, I would go to the actual strip club inside, the club, and I was at a meat carving station, next to the fucking stripper pole. I mean, come on, think about that. That's fucking nuts. But so whatever. I mean, that was my job, So my job was to go out there and just, carve the meat, for the fucking 3 or 4. Because there was only like a few handful of people. But anyways, carve the meat for the few degenerate fucking people that were there, at a strip club at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever it was. And at the same time, most of the time, I was just standing there like an asshole, looking at the girls. So I got a free strip club experience every day. And, so I was there, I had one eye, on the girls, the other eye on the Marlins game, the baseball game. So I'm there watching the game, watching the girls, and then just carving the meat for the few idiots, a few degenerates that would show up and then get some meat. So then, once that was done, I would clean all that up, put it all away. By that time, the night shift crew started to show up, and then, I kind of had to like train them, not train them, but like show them what they had to do for the night, blah, 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 bleep, bleep, bleep. That's it. Easy peasy, chicken peasy. And by the way, so then another thing was that, so there was a few things that I had to do. There was a few things that by the way, so the owner was very meticulous about certain things, crazy things. So, one of the things that I had to do that was part of my job was that, and I had to do this. I don't know why, but I had to do this, okay? So every time that I was done with my shift, I had to have a drink at the bar. I was like, very weird. But again, this is not a place that you're going to go to HR, or complain to anybody. And again, what guy is going to complain about this? But anyway, so part of my, routine, not routine, but routine, but part of my job was that once I was done with everything, I had to, go to the bar and get a drink. Even if I didn't drink alcohol, drink a, fucking Pepsi, whatever. But I had to sit there and just sit at the bar and, I don't know, I just be a patron or whatever. I don't know, whatever. It was weird. But I did that. But then once I was done with that, I got to leave and go home. Okay? But part of my job there was, again, I was running the kitchen. I was the chef, the boss. All right? So that means that every single day, besides, making the food and doing all this shit, for the rest of the crew, for the rest of the people later that night, I had to, do the ordering, the food ordering, okay? So, again, I had to go, I had to see what I was going to do for the food and the menu, and then I had to call the guys, at the Cisco or whatever, to order the food, to bring the food in, whatever. So I had to do all that shit, which again was super easy compared to the shit that I used to do before, where I used to do this on a real massive level. Here was just like minor level. But the thing is that every time that I would have had to go place an order, or every once in a while I had to go see the boss, for XYZ reason, whatever, you remember I was a boss, so I had to go see the boss. And by the way, so the boss that I would work with was not the guy that hired me. He was only there at night. I would only see him, every once in a while, during the day, but usually just at night. So as I was leaving, he was coming in. I had other bosses. And again, think about these people. These people are dressed in suits. They look like fucking CIA. They look like Secret Service people, okay? So my boss, was this huge fucking guy. I forgot his name. I think Greg or something, or George. I don't know. I think Greg. But anyways, the point is that, so this guy, his office, was all the way at the end, of the strip club. But in order for me, okay, so like, kind of picture this, okay? So, this kind of like the strip. Let me see. How can I? Whatever. Okay. So the strip club was here. Like kind of like the main entrance or whatever. And then around here, where my thumb is, was kind of like where the kitchen was and all this other shit, right? But then, extending from there, whatever. Anyways, there was like this long hallway where basically, everything was through there. You know what I mean? And so what do I mean by everything? Well, where the girls' dressing room were, the back room, before the girls went out, basically, all the stuff with all the girls. The showers, the this, the that, whatever, anything you can imagine. And the boss's office was all the way at the end of that corridor. So every single fucking time that I had to, go see the boss for whatever reason, I had to go through the women's locker room. I had to go through their thing. But again, these are strippers, so it's very different. So imagine that, like, I'm just there, with my fucking notes, I go, hey man, to, tell them, hey, look, we got to order this, we got to do this, whatever. And I would have to walk through the locker room. And again, it's not like the girls are like, don't look at me. No. They're fucking strippers. You know what I mean? So they were more like, whatever. Oh, hey, Jose, how's it going? Hey, how's it? And they would just strike up a conversation, like with me, naked. They're naked. And I'm just walking through because I had to go tell the boss XYZ and talk to him about whatever, And it was just like the craziest, most fucking surreal thing ever. Now, the cool thing is that, like, 99% of the girls, they were super nice, super crazy, super cool, super chill. And the fact that I worked there and that, again, I had a girlfriend, and so I was in love with my girlfriend, so I wasn't really interested in any of these girls, And again, once you see how the sausage is made, you're definitely not interested. Not everybody. One of my cooks was dating one of the girls there. It is what it is. But the point is that for me, I really wasn't that interested, all right? Sure, they were nice to look at, whatever. But, I wasn't interested in dating a stripper or trying to fuck a stripper or anything like that. And so, since they got that vibe off of me, that I was the boss, I was just there to do my job, I was just there to fucking run the show, they loved it even more. So they all were, very touchy-feely with me. They were all very friendly with me. It was all very nice. It was all right. It is what it is, okay? But it was just crazy, that I'm just fucking walking through, the women's locker room, doing all this shit. And they were just there naked, like whatever. Hey, Jose, how's it going? Just like if it was any other job, it was just crazy surreal. So that was part of my job. That was the whole thing. So during the day, I had, a couple of cooks that worked with me. One of them was super gay. Some dude, I don't want to say his name, but anyway, some dude that was super duper gay, and he was fucking awesome. He was great. Again, he got hired because he was gay, and he could cook, and so it was easy peasy. He was a great guy, really, really good friends. See, he was really nice guy. I remember him very well because, he would give me, back when I was dating my girlfriend, I would have my issues with my girlfriend, and he would give me advice, okay? I never thought in a million, and he was flaming gay. His husband it looked like a regular guy. Never in a million years you would think his husband or boyfriend, would be gay. But anyways, it's another story for another day. But super gay, super awesome, super whatever. And then the other person that worked there was this girl that was basically a butch lesbian, and she was fucking the worst. She was so fucking annoying. She was so just fucking horrible. She was always like on crack or heroin or something, and I don't know why the fuck she was there. There had to be a reason. I don't know. I never really got too deep into it, but Jesus, man, she was so fucking annoying, But anyways, but she was the other employee there. She was the only person that I really just hated there, because she was just so the worst. The girls didn't like her. Nobody really liked her. She was just so fucking annoying, all right? But, I did get to learn a few things from her. Oh, sorry. I was like, no, there's some noise out there. I don't think it's the trash, is it? No, it's not. Okay. Jesus, like it's pretty early for that. But anyways, so yeah, long story short, Like, this person was like the most fucking annoying person ever, but whatever. It wasn't the biggest deal. I'm not gonna, I worked so many jobs and I've dealt with so many, individuals out there that she was the least of my problems. I really didn't have any problem. If I did have a thing that I didn't like about that job, it was her. Okay, but long story short, it was pretty easy. It was pretty cool. I remember like one of the night cooks. He was a Latino. I don't know where he was from, man, Puerto Rican. I don't know, whatever. But he loved Russia. Like, loved Russian. And this is way back in the day. I didn't even know anything about nothing when it came to all that shit. But I remember, it's like, man, what is this guy so in love with Russian and Russia and Russian culture? And he was always like reading all these Russian books. And he was always like, trying to learn Russian and all this other shit. Later on, I found out that one of the girls that worked there was Russian. And he was dating her. And that was part of the deal. Meaning that's why he was so interested. He liked Russian girls, whatever, okay? There's a lot of Russian people out there in Miami too, okay? Well, anyways, so the job was pretty fucking cool, man. It was like pretty awesome. Pretty cool. So, let's just kind of skip forward. So back towards the end of, remember I told you at the end of my shift, I was forced to, again, have a drink, okay? I had to have a drink before I left. Now, every once in a while, I did remember that, while I was there having my drink, some of the bosses, the bosses, like the real bosses, they would, come up to me, talk to me, asking me about XYZ. Hey, let's do this, let's do that, whatever. So work. So I'm guessing that that's what they wanted. They wanted me just to hang out a little bit longer, have a drink for free. Everything's all free. And then if we need to talk to you, we'll talk to you. We know where to get you. We know where to find you and whatever. But it was just, I was a real chef. And so like that's the thing. It was like eventually they, even though they hired me with the intentions, that I was going to fucking come in there and, really chef it up. But I was one of them because I was one of them, like in the sense of like the debauchery and, I liked strip clubs and I love drugs and drinking and girls and all this shit. But I got my shit together and I came in there and I fucking, righted the ship and I was able to really get something going there when it came to food and what they were trying to do. So everything was great. But when they started to get to know me, they're like, oh, this guy's like an actual chef, you know what I mean? He's just here for the fucking money, not because he really, wants to be, part of our world. You know what I'm saying? And I really didn't want to be part of their world. It was, nothing wrong with it. It was all right. But, the more I got to see how the sausage was made, because like I said, I got to see all the girls, basically doing everything. Again, imagine being behind the scenes throughout, at a major strip club. I mean, you get to see shit and hear things that you never in a million years. And it's like, bro, this is fucking crazy. By the way, a lot of it was kind of boring, after, it was like the novelty wore off really quickly. I remember the first time I had to go to the office, it was cool. The second time, it was pretty cool. By the time I got to like the fifth or sixth time, I was like, oh God, I hope fucking Jenny doesn't talk to me. Oh God, I hope that blah, blah, blah doesn't say anything. God, whatever. You know what I mean? Because I was busy too. I had shit to do. I didn't have time to fucking talk to whatever. And I didn't want to be perusing with them anyway, for many reasons, I was the boss, in my own right, in my own department, in my own thing. I didn't want to be getting involved in any of that shit, But the point is that I remember, man, I'll never fucking forget this. I remember, a lot of the girls, they started to fall in love with me, which is also fucking such a mind fuck because I never thought in a million years, these, especially back then, I was overweight. I was just, a chef. I was just, working my regular job, doing my regular thing. But as these girls, started seeing, not only was I a real chef, turns out that women love cooks. That women love, people that can cook. Not only did they see that, oh, wait, this guy's a real chef. He's not like all these other people that fucking, would come through here. But on top of that, he didn't fucking want any, he didn't want to fuck any of us. So, and they knew I wasn't gay. You know what I mean? Because again, I had my girlfriend, I had my whatever. And so to them, that was like, oh man, we want this guy so fucking bad. And on top of that, remember, think about all the fucking guys, all the degenerates that were the clients that they used to, deal with every day. So even though I looked at myself like an ugly duckling, like a fat fuck, by the way, I used to weigh like 250 pounds, 280, whatever. I don't know how much I weighed then, but I weighed a lot, okay? Like 250, 280, around there, okay? I'm at 200 right now. But, again, they love the fact that I can cook. I was a real chef. I had a real pedigree. The bosses, loved me. I just went there to get my check, to do my job. I was not trying to fuck any of them. I didn't give a fuck about any of that shit. I barely had my drink. I barely had my drink at the end of the shift. It's not something I was really like even interested in. So all of these things, they were like, man, this guy's a catch. This guy's fucking awesome. So I had all the girls, that were after me all the time. But me being such a fucking idiot in love with the other girl, the real girl, my real girlfriend, she worked real estate for crying out loud. I was like, man, no way. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't want to deal with any of this. I'm in love with whatever. But I'll never forget. There was this one girl there, man. She was a bombshell. 1 out of 10, she was like a 12. And she was tall. She was Russian. She was amazing. Amazing. And she was like the alpha of like all the girls there. And she really fucking loved me. Like, she really, really loved me. Because after a while, after shift drink, when I was doing that, she would come all the time and sit next to me and start talking to me about whatever. She loved to cook as well. We would talk a lot about all kinds of shit. And man, this lady, she wanted me to fucking, to be with her, man. She wanted me to fucking, she was even telling me, like, listen, man, I'll fucking maintain your ass, just come live with me. You know what I mean? Like, and, just cook and clean and whatever. I don't need much, or you can do whatever you want. You can work your job, whatever. But don't worry, we got this. And I'm like, man, this is crazy, man. This is no way, Jose. No way I could, do this. But it was so crazy, okay? And I'll never forget her. I didn't even know her name. I forgot her name, but she was just like, she was like Jessica Rabbit, I don't even know what else to say. You know what I mean? Like that. You know what I mean? Like, an amazing bombshell of a woman. And all the men, everyone that went in there, like, they wanted her. And she didn't want any of them, obviously. She was there and she was, making all the money, doing all the things, doing whatever. And she was fucking in love with me. And how did I know she was in love with me? Because my Russian fucking friend, the other cook there, he would tell me all the fucking time. You know what I mean? He would tell me, and he would fucking point it out and and kind of like, And then eventually I put 2 and 2 together, like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, wow. So, man, I'll never forget that shit. But yeah, man, long story short, it was pretty fucking crazy. That job was pretty awesome. Again, it was easy. Compared to every other job that I had. I got paid extremely well. I had all these women fall in love with me. The bosses loved me. All the security people loved me. Everybody was just fucking amazing. It was like the best job ever. Now, you'll never guess how I lost that job. Okay, so we're almost, wow, I cannot believe we're almost at an hour here. So might as well start, coming full circle here. So, basically, it was an amazing job. It was an amazing experience. I never thought in a million years that I would work there. And again, this is awesome that I get to, have this as a chapter in my life, among all these other things that I got to do. But it was just super duper cool, how I got the job, every day working that job. So yeah, every single day, I would wake up, kind of do my morning routine and then drive to work, like an hour and a half, smoking my blunt all the way until I got to work. And then once I was done with my shift, same thing, I had my blunt ready and then I would just drive back home an hour and a half, whatever, traffic, smoking my blunt, probably had a drink, because that's it. I never went more than the 1 drink minimum that they forced me to have, and every once in a while I would have an actual drink, instead of a Pepsi or whatever. And it was just amazing. And I got paid in cash, oh dude, it was just so fucking good, man. It was just such a great job. And, again, the hours were great. Everything was just fucking phenomenal, man. I got so much respect from all those people there that I never thought in a million years, these mafioso type people. And then eventually, I got to meet some of these customers, because again, eventually as I was, working, as I made some time working there, and I got to just have a little bit more free reign as to, what I could do and where I could go, in the property and do all this shit. Because again, eventually once I got it, got it down to a system, I mean, come on, it was even easier, because I barely had to kind of show up, so I got to spend a lot of time, getting to know some of these customers as well, and it was just pretty cool, like most of them were fucking degenerates, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but every once in a while, I will meet some of these guys who are pretty fucking cool. And it was a great fucking job. I'm not going to lie. It was super, I'll never forget it. But with all that being said, you're probably wondering, well, why or how did I leave that job? Well, I'll never forget this, okay? It was the craziest fucking thing. So how, because I got fired from that job, believe it or not. How I got fired from that job was that basically, by the way, so this is how strict they were with everything, okay? Even with me. What happened was that, like, basically, I was on my way to work one day. In fact, the day that was in 2008. It was November 4, November 2nd, November 5th. I don't know. It was election day. It was election day of 2008. It was Obama's first election. I'll never forget this. Now, I had voted early, so I didn't have to vote that day or anything. So I was just, whatever, doing my regular routine, and I was on my way to work. As I was on my way to work, I got into a car accident. I almost lost my life that day, okay? But anyways, I didn't lose my life, okay? I did lose my car. My car got totaled, okay, in that car accident. But I remember, like, I literally had to, once everything was all settled, I'll talk about the accident in a second. But anyways, once all that was done, I had to call, my boss and let him know what happened. He didn't want to fucking hear it. He didn't even care. He basically said, no, you're fired. You didn't make it to work today? You're fired. That's it. The end. Done. I could not fucking believe it. I couldn't even believe it, but the guy basically, after, they loved me, it's an amazing job, everything I did for them, everything, it was such a fucking badass, amazing job. Because the guy, I told him, look, my car got totaled. I told him what happened. I sent him proof, the whole fucking thing. I think it was at the store, at the scene. But the guy was basically like, oh, yeah, no, listen, not only did you not make it work today, but now you're telling me that you're not going to make it to work for the foreseeable future. Because, again, I had to take like an hour and a half drive to get up there, and I needed a car. There was no other way. The guy's like, all right, man, thanks for the services. I really appreciate you. And we'll mail you your check. We'll mail you, your fucking, your last payment. And they gave me some extra money. That's how nice they were. So not only did they pay me, whatever, but they paid me, I think, like almost a month, worth of payment. That's how much they liked me. But just the fact that I missed my job, that I got in an accident, and I lost my car was enough for them to fire me, which was fucking crazy. But hey, it is what it is. But I'll never forget that. So I wrote down here about that accident, okay? Because I think maybe that could be its own, its own episode, okay? Because it's also kind of crazy. But yeah, long story short, I was driving to work, and some truck that was carrying a bunch of heavy equipment, well, the heavy equipment wasn't tied down correctly, and all of a sudden I'm driving 70 miles per hour this direction, and the equipment, the heavy, construction equipment, fell off the truck, and it was coming at my direction at 70 miles per hour, and boom. It was a miracle I fucking survived that shit. So I guess we'll talk about that at another point in time, because it doesn't really make sense, because it's not part of the episode here. We're just talking about strip clubs and my time working at a strip club and all this other shit. So I guess before I go, if you guys have any questions or you guys have any comments, towards, in the audience, I know there's a lot of you guys in the chat, watching and listening to me today. But, at the end of the day, I'll never forget that shit, man. That was like the craziest thing ever. Now, after that, I was still living, after I lost that job, I was still living in Miami for a few more years, before I ended up going to Seattle. So again, that was in 2008, November of 2008, when I lost that job. So, I probably got that job in early 2008, and I worked that year. I know I didn't work more than a year there. But anyways, I worked that whole year there, up until the accident. And then after that accident, by the way, not a scar on me. Nothing happened, okay? My car was crushed, but I survived somehow. I guess I can be here with you, so I can tell you the story, right? And I can do all the other things that I'm doing. But anyways, long story short, that was in 2008, and I did not leave until 2013. Okay, January of 2013. Was it 2013? Yeah, 2012, 2013. I think it was 2013. So that was basically okay, so 29. So it was 4 years later. 4 years and 2 months. 420, right? Anyways, 4 years and 2 months later, after that accident, That's when I left Miami for good and I moved to Seattle and I started my adventure. One of my other, my adventures, the adventures that eventually led me here. Again, this is 11 years ago, more than 11 years ago. But yeah, man, it's pretty freaking crazy, man. You know what I mean? That's how I lost my job and, almost lost my life that day. And, but up until then, it was pretty fucking sweet job. It was a pretty cool job. It was pretty awesome. But I remember that after that, accident, and not only did I lose my job and I had to start from scratch, but that's around the time that the economy tanked. And so not only did I lose that awesome, sweet job that I had, but I couldn't get another job. You know what I mean? Because again, that was around the time that the economy really tanked and I was getting paid really well. And all of a sudden, in order for me to make ends meet going forward, I had to get multiple jobs. I had to get 3 jobs, okay? In order for me to make the same amount I was making at that one job. As crazy as that sounds. One of those jobs that I got later on was working at a zoo, believe it or not. I got that written down here too. So I was working at Miami Zoo, all right? Miami Metro Zoo. That was also a freaking experience, So I'll be able to share that with you later if you guys, in another show, if you guys are interested in that. So let me know, by the way, would you guys be interested in hearing more about the crash? Not just that crash, but I've had multiple crashes. I lived on a boat in the middle of the desert, I worked at the zoo, okay? I got so many stories, okay, that I'm gonna be talking about in future episodes. But yeah, long story short, that's what ended my career as a stripper. As working at my career working in a strip club, okay, which is a very surreal thing. Now, like I said, after that, I moved to Seattle. And I did go to strip clubs, and immediately after going to one strip club in Seattle, I was like, bro, this is trash. This is trash. I don't want to go to another strip club ever again, until my friend took me to Portland and showed me, the strip clubs in Portland. I'm like, oh, wow, this is awesome. And now me and my friends, would basically go on trips. We would, take road trips to Portland, from Seattle all the way to Portland, just to go to the strip clubs, okay? That's how awesome they were, okay? And the reason by the way, the reason I would go to Portland, not just to the strip clubs, but I would go out there, to experience all that and live that, was because, again, being so far away from Miami, being so far removed from the life that I lived in Miami, back when I was in my early 20s, the closest that I could get to kind of reliving that life again was going to Portland. That's another thing too. I know a lot of people out there, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that show Portlandia. So the reality is that Portlandia was really Seattle. Everything about that show Portlandia, that was Seattle 100%. Living in Seattle was living in fucking Portlandia. And when I went to Portland, the actual Portland, it wasn't that much like Portlandia. Look, I'm sure that it was also like Portlandia in many spots. But from my experience, it was hood as fuck. Portland, Oregon is pretty fucking hood. Now, again, it was super chill and nice compared to Miami hood, like real hood. But my God, Portland was fucking hood as fuck. The strip clubs that I would go to that I liked in Portland were the hoodest of them all. I didn't go to the vegan fucking ones or the ones, they're, I'm an artist, I'm not a stripper. No. Those are all right. Those are whatever. No, I like to go to the ones that were in the hood. That, you would go out into the parking lot and you would hear gunshots. Like Miami. That's the kind of shit I liked. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, fucking Portland, man. Crazy shit, man. I'll never forget. But I like Portland. Again, it wasn't as dangerous as Miami, but, definitely way more dangerous than Seattle. And, again, it was just that hood element. It was just that element of, when the whole thing with the strippers and the whole life there, that was very, I don't know. It was as close to home as I could get without going to Miami. Because, again, going to Miami was just way too far away for me, for many reasons. And that was like another life ago. Going to Miami. And again, anytime I would go to Miami to visit, I'm there to go visit my niece. I'm there to go visit my mom. I was there to go visit family. I wasn't going to Miami to go fucking strip club. Again, by that time, I was already in my early 30s. No, I was already beyond that and past that. But yeah, man. So I think that's it. I mean, I don't know what else I can say about strip clubs, you know. Oh, I did go to Vancouver, Canada, you know, multiple times. I never really went to strip clubs there, but my friend really liked the Asian massages. And by the way, you know, I remember the first time he took me to one of those Asian massage places. I mean, honestly, I just thought it was a massage. I had no idea, because I know we got those in Florida, but you know, to me, it's like, I mean, I don't know. It was just weird, man. The whole fucking thing was weird. So I remember, I might as well tell you the story since it's all part of the whole same thing. So I remember this one time we went into the thing and I was tripping balls on mushrooms. And so I was like, all right, bro, I'll go in there with you, whatever. You know, no big deal. You know, whatever. I'll get a massage. You know, because again, I'm tripping on mushrooms. Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be awesome. You know, getting a nice massage, whatever. But little did I know that it was the happy ending, you know, Chinese place or whatever. I was like, all right, whatever. So we went in there, and you know, it's funny because, you know, we went in there and I'm just thinking I'm going to go get a massage, and you know, there was, you know, a lot of pretty girls, you know, there working as well. And I remember that you know, I went, so I remember when we were kind of, you know, going off to the massage room, there was this one girl that was like beyond gorgeous, okay? Beyond whatever. She didn't even speak English or anything like that. And she's the one, she picked me. She's like, no, I'm taking this guy. Whatever. I'm like, all right, whatever, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself, man, you know, this little Asian girl, you know, how good of a massage was she gonna do? Anyways, long story short, she was not interested in a massage. She was interested in banging me, all right? Straight up. That's what she wanted. Banging, all right? And I was like, really? For reals? You know what I mean? Like, and forget the happy ending, you know what I mean? No. She really just wanted to fuck, okay? And so that's what we did. You know, basically, you know, I was thinking I was getting a massage, and before I knew it, she was naked and we were having fun. And I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? This is like the best thing ever. You know what I mean? Like, amazing. You know, again, tripping mushrooms. I mean, just imagine the whole scenario, you know? And I remember when we left the place, you know, not when we left, you know, when we were paying, you know, when we were getting out of there, that my friend was super duper pissed because he wanted to have the experience I had with the girl that, you know, with one of the girls like the one that whatever. And he actually ended up, you know, getting the oldest lady. He got, I mean, you know, an old lady, meaning, you know, 45, I guess, you know what I mean? But anyways, he got the old Asian lady, and the old Asian lady, you know, basically gave him a really bad, you know, happy ending, you know, like a really bad hand job or whatever, you know, and he was so pissed, and she was all this. And so when I told him what happened to me, he was so pissed at me because he couldn't fucking believe, you know, what was happening. And the girl didn't even charge me. I mean, I remember when I went to pay, I paid less. I paid for a massage. I mean, I just paid whatever the fuck it was, you know what I mean? And he ended up paying like 3 times the amount, and it was just so fucking hilarious. I'll never fucking forget that shit. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that was super cool, you know what I mean? I'll never, you know, so like, you know, that was my experience, you know, with the one and only time that I went to an Asian massage was like amazing, you know, and it was in Vancouver, Canada, and it was like the best, you know what I mean? I'll never fucking forget that shit either, you know? So, and like I said, I'll never forget because I went with my friend, and his intention was actually he was trying to fuck one of these girls, and like, for me, I was just getting a massage. I wasn't even thinking about it, but one of the girls, you know, again, really liked me. And the rest is history. So no, it was, you know, good shit, man. Like I said, I have some of the craziest fucking stories, man. Some of the craziest fucking things. So yeah. In fact, I got a shirt, you know, that okay, so I used to love to go to Vancouver because in Vancouver they used to have this place called the Amsterdam Cafe, and you used to go there, and it was just like a bar, but you got to smoke weed. So I used to fucking love that because it was like a place where you could, you know, it was like a bar, you get to order munchies, you know, do all that shit, but you got to smoke weed in the open with a bunch of other potheads, you know, smoking weed. So I used to just go to, you know, want to go to Vancouver just for that experience, you know? So we used to go, but again, it wasn't one of those trips that we went there. But again, yeah, man, fucking amazing, you know? Like, again, I got stories for days. So, Opie! Oh, what's up, Opie? Long time no see, brother. By the way, for anyone listening podcast form, you know, we're just going to go through the chat real quick. So, shout out to Opie out there. We got Opie in the house. Opie says, sounds like I arrived at the right time. That's right. Actually, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. I know I was a little bit debaucherous and very raunchy, but again, man, you know, like I said, I've lived lives. I've had so many experiences, and I've done so many things, and you know, I mean, I'm glad that you guys are enjoying a lot of these stories. And again, I'm getting more views than I thought I was gonna be getting, and I'm shout out to all the new subscribers and all the old subscribers and everyone subscribing to this new channel here. Good stuff. Really, really happy, and looking forward to doing more and having more stories to share with you guys and all that good stuff. So maybe next week I'll talk about another boat story. I'll talk about the time that I lived on a boat in the middle of the desert. Yeah, that's right. So let's say I'm gonna read some comments here real quick. So Mike says Mike was in Portland in 2020 for 1 week. Great food. Yeah, that's right. I guess that the food was fucking amazing, man. And like I said, some of these restaurants were strip clubs. It was like so crazy to me, like that connection. Shout out to Henry. Thank you for the kind words. Joe Mango says, man, I worked in strip clubs and I wish we had food there. We would have to go to IHOP at 2 a.m. to eat next to all the people I threw out earlier. Yeah, no, man, I'm telling you, to me, they like, even when I got when I got that job, at that, as a chef, at that place, Miami, there was like the only strip club I've been to that had food. Like the way they had food and the way they were trying to, present food and, have people come in, to eat food. Because up until then, like I was telling you guys earlier, very few strip clubs would have any kind of food. And the food that they did have a strip club, the last thing I wanted to eat was, food at a strip club. Like, just like going to a really shitty, dirty dive bar and getting food there. You're also getting some food poisoning, most likely. But it was just, again, wings or whatever bullshit, you find. But I never, ever, 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 ever ate at a strip club, or anything like that. So, but so after that experience, of me working at a strip club and eventually many years down the road, I was in Portland and I got to see the culture of strip clubs and food and restaurants and the way they did it there. Again, even at first I was like, man, this is crazy. Who the fuck, would go to a strip club to order a steak or order a Philly cheesesteak or order like real food like pasta or vegan food or whatever. And to me, again, just the idea of what that food was from before, it was pretty terrible. What I was thinking they were going to give you in Portland. But when I went to Portland, like I said, and I started eating at some of these places because you had to do it. It was part of the experience. Like, hey, going to go to Portland and eat one of these places. But when I would eat at these places, like, oh shit, the food is fucking phenomenal. For the most part, it was really, really good food. So, yeah, Portland is next level, man. For anyone out there who's a strip club connoisseur, you definitely got to go to Portland, and at least check it out for that. You could just, the only thing I would do, every time I went to Portland, the only thing I would do at Portland was like go to the strip clubs and go to the food trucks. Okay? Again, this is back in the day. But yeah, the food trucks, man. So... Opie says, I ate at strip clubs before, but they didn't serve food. Uh-oh. Hold on.
Bruh.
Hold on. Where it's Shout out to Opie motherfucking Taylor. Oh, man. But yeah, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Let me see if there's anything else in the chat here. I think we got it all. You have Bourdain in you. I'm gonna tell you, man. Like for anyone that's worked in the restaurant industry long enough, like man, there's a reason why there's people that are lifers. There's people that did what I did. It's just such an exciting life, man. It's just like you get to see so many things, do so many things. It's another planet. It's another world, man. I never worked in an office. I never worked a regular traditional job. I never, ever, ever. Again, even when I worked at the zoo, I was cooking at the zoo. Well, I got this, I got the zoo episode here, coming up at some point. But yeah, like I said, when you're a cook, when you're a chef, man, you get so many fucking weird opportunities. Again, if you really look out for them, they don't have to just be traditional, I'm going to work at fucking IHOP or whatever, So... But no, I definitely have a little Bourdain in me, and I love Bourdain. There's anyone that, I have as a hero or as someone I would look up to, or, someone that was basically, I guess I would resonate with as much as possible, it would be Anthony Bourdain. Again, if anyone has ever read Anthony Bourdain's book Kitchen Confidential, you read that book, that was my life. Okay, not exactly the same, but almost exactly the same. Okay, almost exactly the same. And so I remember when I first read that book, for the first time ever, I was like, wow, somebody that understands me, somebody that lived a very similar life than me, and everything that went with that. So, yeah, no, Anthony Bourdain, man, he's a legend beyond the legend. And this is, I knew about Bourdain before he even had a fucking show, before he was on TV, before he was famous. He was famous amongst us degenerate cooks because of the book that he wrote. So please, I would really, really highly encourage you guys, to read Kitchen Confidential. It is one of the best books out there, period, end of story. And look, a lot of the things that I do today were inspired by him. Because again, we cooked for a living, but it was also more like a bittersweet thing. It was just like, hey, we got to earn money somehow. I don't fit in working in an office. I'm never going to be just a regular civilian, regular old Joe. So, it is what it is. We're going to be a cook. And he spent, he did it, he went through a lot of effort. Again, imagine working a 12, 14-hour shift and then coming home and writing a book. And eventually, that book made him famous. And eventually that fame that came from the book was what got him on TV and so on and so forth. But and for anyone that saw his show, what made his show so amazing was the fact that he went outside, of the norm, when it came to making shows like that. Again, I don't know if you guys remember, or old enough to know that, back before Anthony Bourdain had his show, all travel shows were pretty fucking G-rated and boring as fuck and whatever, man, And then all of a sudden Bourdain came along, and then he was, going out to Cambodia and eating, chicken heads, with, the native people and getting drunk with them and doing, okay. So anyway, so that kind of shit, he's the one that really invented that, everything from the camera angles, to, how the show was presented, how he would interact with the people and everything about that. It's something that, a lot of travel shows or a lot of people these days, on YouTube, you name it, they emulate. Anthony Bourdain basically created, this whole genre that we have today. Even what I'm doing right now, again, is very loosely based on everything that he inspired. And so, he inspired so many people beyond, just the kitchen. And he spoke to so many people that, again, that beyond just working in a kitchen and so on and so forth. So, yeah, he is a real motherfucker, man. He's shout out to Bourdain, man. I can't believe they killed him. But anyways, that's another story for another day. So, all right, guys, I think that's it. I think we're going to just, wrap this up here. Shout out to Mike. Again, shout out to Mike with the new theme song. We're going to play that on the way out. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Opie. Shout out to everyone out there. By the way, I've never been to strip clubs out here in Merida or in Mexico, but, I hear that they're next level as well, okay? But again, I'll let you guys be the judge of that. I don't plan on going to one out here because I don't, Listen, the reality is like this. There's only two types of people that go to strip clubs, just a regular old Joe, that's going to hang out with his boys, with his guy friends, have some beers and whatever, go to one of those places. And then the degenerate dude that cannot get any pussy and wants to just fucking be around pussy and trying to get some of that pussy. There's just two types of guys, But again, once you get to a certain age, you don't really want to go to a strip club. Like for me, I have zero desire to go to a fucking strip club. As curious as I am about strip clubs out here and wanting to go one to try it out, I don't go. And the thing is, the strip clubs out here too, they're called like puteros, I think. And so basically they're whorehouses, because, prostitution is legal in Mexico. So it's a different level. It's a different thing. So for me, I have no interest in going to one of these places because, I'm not interested in any of that. I'm extremely happy, and super, I'm satisfied when it comes to all that with my wife and my life and all that shit. But, at the end of the day, that's another level, another story, something that I'm never, planning on experiencing because I've seen so much and been through so much. The last thing I'm interested in is, like I said, going to another one of those and really, going for, for that experience, if you know what I'm saying. But for anyone out there that's interested, you might be interested in checking that shit out. So with all that being said, guys, I think that's it. I think we're going to wrap this bad boy up. I really appreciate you guys, hanging out with me today. Hope you guys had a really good time and had fun today. I know, my content is not for everybody, but hey, it's for those that enjoy it. All right. I'll leave it at that. So, all right, we're going to, what is it? We're going to play the outro song. We're going to play the intro, outro song. Shout out to Mike Leon out there, my homie, living in another part of Mexico, makes music, is an amazing dude. And, he made this song for the show. And, I'm very happy with it. It's fucking amazing. And, looking forward to seeing you guys next Thursday. So you already know the deal, guys. All right. So if you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon. But more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. And with that said, let's play the song and let's get the hell out of here. Love you guys. Peace.
Bruh.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Darling, I've told you several times before, I have no dream job. I do not dream of labor.
Huh? Oh my God!
Do it. Just do it.
100 times?
More.
200 times?
More.
500 times?
Probably.
Do it. Just do it.
Yeah, I don't even understand, bro.
BBI like the moon.
You like that?
That's right.
Bruh.